economic facts or data that says, actually, no, you haven't. Since you got into office, things have gone in this direction or that direction, right? Opinion journalism, again, is the opposite. So I would say it doesn't necessarily have to be biased. Somebody providing a viewpoint, a context, a perspective from their knowledge doesn't necessarily have to be biased and unbalanced. It could be a very good opinion article, right? The goal might still be to persuade you to shift the way you think, but just looking over the way they explain these two types of journalism, you kind of get the idea that opinion journalism is bad, right? But sometimes you want, you want to hear what an expert has to say on a topic, and what they have to say might be an amalgamation of hundreds of facts and information that they've processed over years. And so, yeah, it might not be point-based facts, but it still has some reality to it. I'm going to skip ahead. That's an interesting jump. Do you understand, like, what does it mean to have a standard?
Oh, it's a set kind of goal, like what you take is real.
Right? So a set goal, a minimum requirement,
Like an expectation.
an expectation. Right, so some of you play on the volleyball team at the school. Your coaches might have a certain standard for you, let's say on when you're supposed to show up, at what time you're supposed to be ready to practice. Your classes, your parents might have a certain standard and expectation of you as well. Okay, so a journalist, do you think a journalist can have a standard for information when they accept it? Right, okay, and each journalist might have different standards. So one might say, no, I need someone who actually witnessed and saw it. Someone else's standard might be, hey, like this person said they saw the person who was there and they talked, so that's good enough. And some people might not care about any of that. They have no standards. Okay, as long as the story sells. Okay, but standard is a rule or guideline, agreed way of doing something. Okay, so things like safety standards, it'd be terrible that you go and buy a car and let's say it's just paper thin. There's no airbags in it either, right? So it's not meeting the safety standard. So you get into a little fender bender, and your car rearranges your face, gives you surgery.
Quick surgery.
It'd be terrible, right?
Quick and free.
Quick and free. Not the results you wanted, the results you get.
That's what you pick. You get free surgery.
And so with standards, it's important to get to know people and understand, what is their standard, what is their level of excellence. So let's say bringing it down to a level you could understand. As you get into high school, university, college, if you choose to go there, wherever you go afterwards, once you start working and dealing with people, which you already do, you'll notice that some people have different standards. Like some people are very honest and forward. They tell the truth. Those are probably people you want to be around. Some people might not consider being truthful as necessary to their character, right? So they have a lower standard, let's say, of what they will and won't say. Some people might have the standard that, I'm not going to speak poorly about people I don't know, right? They call that backbiting, talking behind people's back, right? So these standards don't just have to do with journalism, but it can also be in your own life, right? Even with a relationship with a partner, that, hey, this person can't treat me less than this. They have to respect this boundary, this standard that I've set. Fact-based journalism should be based on professional standards. I'm not so sure it still is. especially considering the way news media, particularly like the news agencies are really struggling with how to deal with the internet, how to deal with video, right?
Those are old.
And when the money stops coming in, people can get desperate to keep their job. And so one sad reality is that a lot of news agencies don't necessarily care if a story is true. Is the headline going to sell? Are people going to click on the article? Are they going to read it? What impact do you think that has on society?
Bad.
It's negative. Why?
Because it's not the truth that's being spread.
Right? It's lies that are being spread, potentially, right? Hypothetically. I'm not saying everyone does this, but if people are just mass transporting lies and selling lies, or selling stories that are very fun to read but aren't based on facts, don't have good sources, let's say, either. Could be Fox News, it could be, as you mentioned as well, CBC, it could be a lot of news agencies, right? You know, so that's why it's important to know, you know, what is the standard? What is the standard of the person who's giving you this information, right? And again, that comes right back down to your own personal life. If you have a friend who just loves gossiping, and they just give you some good gossip, okay? Or tea, as you kids call it. Okay? If you understand that phrase better. But you know, hey, this person likes talking, and they love telling fake stories about other people, because then people come and listen to them. Your standard, where is it? Are you going to accept what they have to say as truth? Maybe not, right? Now, if you know that, hey, this person's very truthful, anytime they say something about someone, like it's because they know it for sure, maybe they've seen it themselves, and they tell you something, maybe you'll feel differently. Okay? So these are some standards, some things to consider. Sources. Okay. Does it have, let's say, at least one reliable source? An ideal, a higher standard might be, are there multiple? Is there 2 or 3 reliable sources for this information? That's something I do as well. When I read a news story that sounds a bit outrageous, I try to find random news websites that talk about the same thing. You know, try to get out of the standard narrative and see, like, well, what are other people saying about the same thing? And how are they reporting the facts? And you'd be surprised, right? Like, some people are really good at writing. So they'll take information and they'll create a story out of it. Okay? And they'll sell you this story that's very appealing. And it gives you a particular perspective. And you leave reading that story with a particular viewpoint, right? I mean, and you know, you kind of experience this anytime you go watch a movie, right? You see a hero or a villain and you leave feeling a type of way about why they did what they did. Okay? People can do this with news as well, right? And so it's good to go and read different people's perspectives, because they may not be selling you this, you know, this over-the-top story to try to get you to have a certain viewpoint. They might just be selling you facts and information. Okay, some people are more biased than others. So it's good to check the standard of sources. Along with that is accuracy. So again, as I was saying, some people are trying to sell you a narrative. Right? They want you to believe a certain thing. They want you to think a certain thing at the end of reading this article. And there's more theatrics involved in that journalism than there is fact-telling, right? Just transferring information. And so, again, it's good to read from multiple different sources and see. Like, some people are good journalists, they're bad storytellers. And so they're just giving you information. And that information is devoid of a story. So maybe you're less likely to read it, but when you read it, you leave thinking, oh, wait a minute, like this person didn't emphasize certain things as much as the other person. I had a little assignment some time ago with one of my high school courses where we looked at the same news event, but the story told by 3 different news agencies, which is where this information for myself is coming from, that, you know, different news agencies, different journalists will report in different ways and sell a story in a very different manner. And, you know, when you're done reading it, after you've read multiple sources, you might feel very confused as to, you know, well, what should I think about this? How should I think about it? Okay. Research as well. So are there secondary sources? Have stats been cited? And if so, from where? I would say a lot of news today doesn't do any of that. Also, the thing with stats is that you can easily manipulate statistics. Context, does the story go beyond the news event to include history or background? Context, in that I would also add, you know, once you get good at reading and what is that? What do they call that test in language arts? Comprehension. Once you get good at reading comprehension, you can read something, like particularly a news article, you can go, hey, I think this person, instead of telling me how to think or relating information, they're telling me what to think. You know, they're selling me an article that says that I should be angry about what's going on, but they haven't informed me of what is actually happening. Okay? And they might do that by using language that isn't neutral. It has a bias, it has a particular lean, right? They might use words that are more characteristic of wrong or evil or bad on one side, and then tell you